still stuck back there. Come on out of that cave. Come on. You can build your own house. There is liberty. Don't you know? Have you heard? You have been set free. We are free thinkers. We're free. We are free thinkers.
Greetings, greetings, greetings. Welcome home. Welcome back home. So glad you're here. I am Janice Pons, your host on From Destruction to Dignity, Clinical Perspectives, Spiritual Truths. Wow, what a journey we're on. Like I said, we're way past episode 40. So I've kind of figured out a couple of things as I go along here, and just learning how to flow. You know, sometimes I'll have planned what I'm going to say, and it will go in a totally different direction, and I am just fine with that. So what we've been doing is just looking at, as we start out 2022, a lot of times people are looking at doing things differently. You know, like, you know, man, I really need to settle down. I really need to take a closer look at some things. And you know, my three main things that I'm always talking about, you know, I want to provoke thought, bring awareness. And sometimes we realize we need an intervention. I remember when I came to that realization, my life has never been the same. By engaging in a structured therapeutic process and going to a support group where I had a mentor that was holding me accountable. This little old lady, she took me. She said, baby, do you have a sponsor? And I thought to myself, that little old lady, what is the deal with her? She said, do you have a sponsor? And I thought, I wonder if she's the one. And I said, no, ma'am, I don't. She said, I'll be your sponsor. What a wonderful decision that I made. It was just so powerful. God met me front and center in that relationship and in the process. So the therapeutic process. And so just submitting yourself to doing something different, considering something different, realizing you don't know it all. I certainly don't know it all. None of us know it all. But, you know, some of us are gifted in certain areas, and we might know more in one area than someone knows in another, and vice versa. This is why we need each other. So the last time we got together, we were talking about thriving in maturity, actually thriving in that thing. You know, maturity is being fully developed. And so how do we get there? And I remember seeing this little 4-year-old boy grabbing his crotch, talking about, I'm grown, as he was cussing somebody out. I said, I thought to myself, let me have him for 6 months. Give him to me. For 6 months, I would love to get a hold of that little guy. Well, anyway, he was telling me he grown. What does that look like? It certainly don't look like a 4-year-old grabbing his crotch. I guarantee you this, he wasn't born knowing how to grab his crotch. And people were laughing at that. That's a sad commentary. He may have been in a house with a roof over his head, at a place but he didn't belong. He did not have a place where he belonged in a healthy way. And so remember the last time we talked about how you actually thrive in your maturity, a place to belong, a place to receive and give love. He wasn't giving out love in that way. He certainly wasn't receiving when he had adults laughing at him. And look at him. He grabbing his crotch. He think he grown and not giving him any correction or direction whatsoever. I wonder how much synchronization was even attempted with him. That's an element to thrive in our maturity. That synchronization where a parent matches their behavior with an emotional state and a rhythm develops between the parent and the child. Here's how a rhythm may look like when they're crying. You get down there where they're at. You get down on their level, baby. What's wrong? Talk to mama. Tell me what's going on right now. Come on, sit up here on my knee. Come on, come on. Talk to me. It's that shut, boy. Sit down. Get to it. Some people are raised like that. He was just wild. He was a wild little buck. Boy, somebody need to get a hold of him. I like getting on good people like that. Look, kids, when I was a teacher and a school psychologist, I would thrive on getting a hold of those. Because you can turn them around. All they need is some direction and somebody to speak into the core of their soul. And they respond. When God created us that way. He created us that way because we're created in his image and he gives love and we're to receive, we're to worship and love and adore him and we're to give it and we're to receive it. That's what we're to do with each other. What would happen if you had a community that was doing that? What would happen if you had a city that was doing that? What would happen if you had a state or a nation that was doing that? Synchronization. So maturity is fully developed when you become fully developed in these various observable, measurable strategies, skills, and tools for recovery and wellness. And then we learn to know our hearts. Do we have a healthy heart or unhealthy heart? We talked about that last time. So today we're going to even get a little more specific. We're going to dive a little bit deeper. We're going to dissect it a little bit more. Maturity. There are stages of maturity. I have talked about this before, but I'm not even the same person that I was when I talked about it the first time. I shouldn't be, because we go from faith to faith and glory to glory, and you mature, and then I was realizing areas it's like, oh God, okay, all right, you don't have to tell me more than once. You don't have to tell me more than once, Lord. And there are people who are speaking to my life. I heard that. I appreciate that. I learned a lot about apologizing in 2021. Going there right away, taking full responsibility. That's a form of maturity. I apologize. I missed it. Saying what that is, what I did, what I plan to do, and asking a person to forgive me, saying, I'm sorry. So those are points of you're going to reach these things and say, I ain't sorry. I ain't telling nobody nothing. I ain't saying nothing. They can go to. Hello? Stages of maturity. There's stages of maturity, and it may be advantageous to locate where you are. You can't get to where you need to go unless you can honestly identify where you are. If you ever realize that some of you, some of us, some people are in relationships with people that from a maturation perspective, they are in the infant stage of development. It's the first level of maturity. And the task at the infant stage is to receive things with joy. To receive with joy, you learn to synchronize. We talked about how you can develop synchronization. We talked about that the last time. And how we can organize ourselves into a person by imitating the example of our caregivers. So what are the caregivers doing? What was that little boy that was grabbing his crotch? I'm grown. And going around, going to turn over the table, talking about he grown. That's how he thinks grown looks. Where did he learn that from? So we're supposed to be learning how to receive joy when the baby is there. You're nurturing the baby. You got the baby in your arms. You're looking at the baby. I'm precious. You're so special to me. You know you're created in God's image. Don't you know that? Don't you know that you're mama's precious little boy? Honey, I was pouring that into my boy. I was very intentional with my son. My son's an amazing man. And you know what? He should be. Because I put a lot of effort into raising him right. To God be the glory. So that infant stage is to receive joy. But guess what happens if you don't receive it? What do you have? You know that there are some people that are stuck in that infant stage. An infant needs somebody to take care of them. Have you ever met an adult that was always looking for somebody to take care of them? Woo! Jesus Christ, Son of the living God. If you ever, and sometimes you just get that revelation, oh, they're stuck. They're stuck. In the infant stage, always looking for somebody to take care of them. Wham, wham, wham. Wham, wham, wham. Feed me, help me, stroke me, hold me. And they ain't got nothing, jack squat to give. Babies really don't have anything to give. They developmentally, they're not supposed to be given much. They can they can make noise. They poop and you clean them. They wet themselves, you clean them. But they always have to have somebody giving them attention. And then they thrive. And then they feel good. If you have an adult that's stuck there, you got something on your hand. Now listen, if somebody is in the infant stage as an adult, they can grow and they can move. But they got to find out where they are. You have to locate where you are. You can't get to where you need to go unless you can honestly identify where you are. So that infant stage of development, remember the goal is to receive joy. Receive it in a healthy way. So if you got folk that didn't get that, they're still down there. They're still over there. And they can't move. They can't move. They can't execute. They can't do adult things. They can't take care of business because they're still stuck emotionally in an infant stage of development in terms of maturity. Sometimes interacting with someone in a structured way can help you go, oh my Lord. You got to find out kind of how you got there, where you are, so you can work toward their tasks, their strategies, their skills, their tools that'll move you from infant to the child stage. Now, the child stage of maturity is a time of learning to take care of oneself. You learn how to take care of yourself. You can make up your bed. Get up out of that bed and go make up the bed and get up and do stuff. Children need to learn how to do what they don't feel like doing. How many adults do you know that are lazy, shiftless, don't want to do nothing? That was bad grammar. Don't want to do anything. They don't want to do nothing. That's what we said back home. They don't want to do nothing. They don't want to do anything. And so they got all these feelings going on. And see, they need feedback. They need direction. They don't even know how to take care of themselves. They just don't know. So like a child development, like when my son was growing up, and I said, baby, you can go in there and get you some cereal. Go ahead and put the chair up to the cabinet. Get it out, and you can put it in the bowl. And you can pour your own milk, almond milk. You can pour your own and feed yourself. But you know what? He couldn't get in the car and drive and go to the store because he had not learned to manage money. He couldn't drive. He had not come to that level of maturation. So the child stage is where you're learning to take care of yourself. Suppose you're married to someone who's a child. Suppose you're in a relationship and thinking about marrying someone, and you're like, they don't even know how to pay bills. They don't even know how to balance a checking account. They don't know how to do their work. Children learn how to ask for what they need and to express themselves. I see adults that say, well, you know. Well, what do you mean? I know. You know, yeah, baby, you know. You know what? What are you saying to me? See, you got to hear how people are talking, how they talk. I'm a very direct communicator, and I learned to be that way. And it's many advantages to it because you get your needs met appropriately, but you're also finding out where other people are, and it develops it can develop a great relationship, particularly if you're synchronized and it's reciprocal. So children should learn what satisfies them and see themselves through the eyes of heaven. But guess who models that for them? Their caregiver, their parents. So pouring that into an infant, pouring that into a child, how will that affect their maturity? How will that affect their behavior? How will that affect their choices? We're talking about maturity, becoming fully developed. God has a path. He does not want adults stuck in an infant stage of maturity. He does not want adults stuck in a child stage of maturity where they can only do so much. And truly, they just get stuck. I've seen it just like a cow at a new gate. Just standing there looking both ways, don't even know which way to go. Truly don't know. God wants us to keep moving in our development. So, the next stage of maturity, as we endeavor to be more and more in the image that God has created us to be, is the adult stage. The adult stage of maturity. It's like a rite of passage where you go from a child to an adult. So there are certain activities that you begin to walk into. It's like, wow, you like you're developing a group identity. You're getting connected with other people. It's not you just being this little underdeveloped or undeveloped person, but you're developing your own personal style. And you have other people that help you and foster you into developing it. This is what happens when you have a powerful youth group. They do things together. They encourage one another. They, and it's up to adults to recreate, to create those types of environments where there's mutual satisfaction in relationships. You're not allowing no crotch grabbing, talking wrong, putting people down. We don't do that here. I remember I was instrumental in, it was when the Dream Center was going to start here in Tulsa. And I had actually met with Billy Joe Doherty. God bless his heart. He's been in heaven 12 years as the time I'm meeting us. And we talked about the things. He knew that I was clinically oriented. And he met with me and we just had an amazing talk. And I met with the director and I told him that. I said, out here, listen, you're going to have people coming through here. They want your groceries. They're going to want y'all's groceries and they're going to want your clothes. And they're going to trade it for a rock of crack cocaine. So I want to respectfully suggest that you create an environment where you might even have to put up a banner to say, we don't cuss here. We don't do that here. So what do? This is a place where we love and we support and we honor one another. You want to put that up so they see it. So you got a point of reference to go back to. When I'm doing a therapeutic group, I establish my rules. I frame that group and I tell them, I said, look, here's the group rules. And I said, we honor when one's talking, we listen, we give them our undivided attention. And there is no cursing in Miss Janice's groups. We don't curse. And so then when somebody slips, I don't have to go, Mr. John Doe. See, while I'm framing it, I get everybody to agree that that's what we do because that's what adults do. And so if they get off track, I can just go, thank you so much for everybody agreeing that we're not going to cuss. And then they'll go, oh, man, Miss Janice, I'm sorry. I said, okay. I accept your apology. Not, that's okay. No, it's not okay. Thank you for apologizing. I so much appreciate that. I so much appreciate all of us adhering to and following the group rules that we agreed upon. So I remember telling Pastor Daughtery and Wendell Hope, who used to be the director there, that you want to create an environment because these folk are used to. Some folk are used to coming and getting your groceries and at a ministry and getting your food, and they're gonna take it and they're gonna get some crack with it, or they're gonna get drugs, or they're gonna not make the right choices. Why? They are stuck in a particular stage of maturity that's not an adult. So you want to create environments. One thing I know is that I don't know everything, but I know how to create an environment that's conducive for change. That's what I do as a clinical consultant. Set up therapeutic environments that are conducive for change. People get well. You have to establish that structure. So in that adult stage, we got a language going on that's powerful. It's supportive. It's honest. There's mutual satisfaction. This is what happens in groups. This is what happens in churches. This is what happens in communities. And it definitely should be happening in families. And that's how we raise our children. Then there's a parent stage. The parent stage is where you take care of you and somebody else. So if you can't take care of yourself, you think you're going to be able to take care of somebody else? A parent establishes or helps to establish a secure and orderly environment. What are we doing in our home? We're secure. It's orderly. It's predictable. Children that don't have that, they are all over the place in their souls. I've seen it just totally in turmoil, totally out of control. Like that little boy. I'm grown. And get ready to turn over a table and grab in his crotch. 4 years old. A parent protects, a parent serves, a parent enjoys their family. You enjoy when you're at that parent stage of maturity. You just love pouring in to your children. It's a blessing. That's your calling, and you take it that way. You're motivated. It feels good. It's powerful. Then the last stage of maturity is the elder stage. Woo! Jesus, thank you. Elders are parents in their communities. I'm an elder. Now, I said that one time and the girl said, Elder Janice. I said, no, I'm not like that. The words are elders. No, I mean, I'm in terms of maturity. I'm an elder in my community because I speak. Elders practice hospitality. I'm hospitable. It flows out of me because I'm an elder. I wasn't even focused on that kind of stuff 10, 15, 20 years ago. I'm just like, you should be there by now. Okay, when you get in your 60s, you give life to those without families. I love that. I love ministering. I love affirming people and giving them a hug and letting them know they're precious and valuable. And they parent and they mature their communities. That's what I'm doing on this podcast. That's what I'm doing on the podcast. God opened the door and it's like, oh, this is a part of the niche that you've called me to. An elder will build and maintain a community identity and act like themselves in the midst of difficulty and trial. Boy, now that'll fine tune you right there. Difficulty and trial start going on. See, the way it presented itself to me last year, it would not work now. It would not work now. Why? I've matured. I realized that's a part of the drill. And I've learned to handle it. We can learn to handle it in different ways. So an elder builds that and maintains it in the community. You want your church to be healthy. I want the church where I'm at to be a healthy place, a mature place, and everybody's at a different level, and that's okay. That's okay. Elders enjoy what God puts in each person. You enjoy it. You enjoy being around people no matter where they are because you see them through the eyes of heaven. I experienced something. There was a homeless man that came to our church. When he got there, one of the deacons made sure he got something to eat in our embassy cafe, ministered to his. When I looked and saw what was going on, I said, wow, she's ministering to his physical needs. I started thinking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It was cold. He was hungry. That man came in and sat through the entire service. I look at him every now and then. I know I wasn't the only one praying for him. But he said, as we were getting this amazing stellar, absolutely life-changing, going to the core of our soul teaching, right? He was like this. The head turned that way, turned another way. To God be the glory. I don't know what his stage of development was, but boy, I know he got fed that day. He got fed that day. So, in that elder stage, we ought to be concerned about people like him. We ought to be speaking into people like him. We ought to practice hospitality. We ought to give life to people like him and everybody. An elder wants to build and maintain a community identity where you're concerned about what's going on. You're not over here trying to get your own needs met. Your needs will get met. God will see that. That is what happens. But I'm telling you, you become transparent and you become spontaneous. There's a lot of spontaneity. I'm a very spontaneous person. I am. I'm not bragging. That's how I am. Anybody knows me? Yeah, she's spontaneous. That's what elders do because you got to have that facts, that sensitivity, that spontaneity, that transparency. I'm very transparent on this podcast, and I'm grateful that I can be that way. I'm comfortable with who I am, and so as we're in these different stages of maturing. Maturity is valuable. Do you know that Ephesians 4 says this? And he himself gave some to be apostles, some prophets, some evangelists, and some pastors and teachers. We're talking about maturity being valuable. Why did he give us those offices? Apostles, prophets, evangelists, pastors, and teachers. For the equipping of the saints for the work of ministry, for the edifying of the body of Christ, till we come to the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of God, to a perfect man, a mature man, to the measure of the stature of the fullness of Christ. Did you hear me? I love it. That we should no longer be children, tossed to and fro and carried about with every wind of doctrine by the trickery of men and the cunning craftiness of deceitful plotting, but speaking the truth in love may grow up in all things unto him who is the head of the church, the Lord Jesus Christ, from whom the whole body joined and knit together by what every joint supplies, according to the effective working by which every part does its share, causes growth of the body for the edifying of itself in love. Guess what? When you are immature, this is what happened. For though by this time you ought to be teachers, some of you ought to be teachers. We're supposed to be teachers. We're supposed to be leading the way. You ought to be teachers. You need someone to teach you again the first principles of the oracles of God. And you have come to need milk and not solid food. We're supposed to be having milk. But yeah, you have milk in the beginning. You're supposed to get to the point where you got solid food. For everyone who partakes only of milk is unskilled in the word of righteousness. Why? Because he's a babe. But solid food belongs to those who are of full age. That is, those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both evil and good. to discern good and evil. Where are we? Listen, we covered the stages of maturity today. Infant, child, adult, parent, elder. God wants us to grow up. We got to locate where we are, because when we do that, we locate where we are. We can't get to where we need to go unless we locate where we are. And he'll meet us right where we are and take us from destruction to dignity. You know what? He wants us to grow up into the stature of the fullness of Christ, because it is Christ in us, the hope of glory, that will help in this journey, help us in this journey to grow up. You know what? I want you to come back next week, because we got some more unpacking to do. God bless you. I love you. Come back.
We are God empowered. Strength is ours. Liberty, been set free. Education, affirmation, dedication,